You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Extant After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Extant After Show.
Hey guys, there is a reason why we are playing the soundtrack, the theme song to Terminator. We will get to that in just a moment, but first of all, we want to thank you. We are doing, this is the inaugural episode of episode 1, season 1 of the big, huge, mega summer blockbuster TV series on CBS Extant with Halle Berry and with Steven Spielberg behind this. My name is Monis Rose, and to my left, first of all, is the amazing, awesome Adrian Snow. How you feeling today, Adrian?
Good to see you again, Monis.
Oh, it is a pleasure. And also an awesome, cool guy, the best, the one, the only, Tari Miller. How are you feeling today, Tari?
Swell, a little flattered. Why?
Absolutely. Hey, you know, this is Extant. This is prime time TV. We are now in the prime time spot. You know, our last shows have not been as it's a big deal for Adrian and I, guys, because we finally are hosting a great, or at least a show that is of we appreciate, and we will get to all that.
Well, it's a serial, so there's actually something to track every week, and you know, there's a storyline that's going through each week, which is nice to do.
Yeah.
For the first time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Tari, you like serials more than, say, standalones?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I like having stuff to look forward to and all the speculation, you know?
Absolutely. Well, yes, there is a lot of serial in Extant. There is a lot of speculation. I think layers upon layers upon. It is a big lasagna of speculation, is what it is. I mean,
it's a lot to remember. It's just so much.
There is, absolutely. So anyway, you know, we are going to foreshadow that robots or aliens or whatever are taking over the world. Hence the Terminator theme song music. But let's. How about we get right into this episode, episode 1, Re-Entry. So our big star, the biggest name, Halle Berry.
She's fine.
Ooh,
I'm
so happy how. Yes, I was gonna say that you took that right. She is fine, even in her beige, very conservative clothes. She is still exotic. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, anyway, Halle Berry plays Molly Woods, an astronaut for some kind of private funded NASA, but it's not called NASA, it's called ISEA. And she comes back to Earth after this 13-month mission. So we introduce, we see her, and, you know, she has a son. She has, you know, husband played by, you know, his name is John, but Adrian, what is his real name?
Goran Vishnik.
Goran Vishnik. Excellent. So everything, you know, we see this kind of quasi, you know, too perfect of a life, I guess. You know, people want to know, how was it, you know, in space? And then suddenly something happens. So she has to go to her debriefing, I guess, and to get her psych exam or medical exams, you know, from her ISEA. And we find out that she is pregnant.
Which is impossible because she's been at least labeled for her entire life as infertile or through all of this testing. So to get pregnant in space is always a very dangerous thing. If we can reference Alien 3, Alien Resurrection.
Yes, yeah.
Alien versus Predator.
Right.
All of
So-
the aliens.
All of the aliens.
You know, I know we can't. I know predictions are for, you know, at the end of this AfterBuzz, but are we predicting that an alien is going to burst out of Halle Berry's?
I'm just saying it's never a good idea when you come back from space, when you've been on a solo mission for 13 months, to find out that you're pregnant. I mean, that's just kind of that just doesn't, you know, it doesn't bode well. I'll say that. So who
What
knows?
if it's a miracle? It's like one of those biblical things. Like you go out into space and then bam, God strikes.
That's not how space works. Let's be real about that. Okay.
You know, hey, you know, we have science.
Yes.
We have the higher powers. You know, we have this conversation just got deep, guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This
I
just,
mean,
There's some deep stuff going on.
yeah. So anyway, yeah. What did you think of the big shocker moment, Tari? You know, we find Halle Berry just pregnant out of nowhere. Yeah, she's been on this solo mission. We don't really have any foreshadowing. We'll get to that, but yeah, what did you think of that?
well, my initial response was because in the way that it was presented, she's like, "Hey, so did anyone stop by the station or anything? Any international people just kind of saying hello? Like that's the first thing that they would do. It's like, hey, we came to get some gas, and you pregnant, you know."
Yeah.
That was pretty direct. It was
Yeah.
very, and there was a lot of, I felt, directness, very on the nose, in your face. Before the commercial break, I feel maybe hence, I don't know, I feel that the style of this show, even though it's very stylized and it's glossy and there is a big budget because there's a lot of visual effects, but it has that kind of 1960s sci-fi-ness. Before commercial break, there's a dun dun dun, like kind of like Twilight Zone, even Spielberg also did a sci-fi show, Taken. There was a lot of similarities to that, and even you mentioned, Adrian, a lot of references, say, from Aliens. I felt that also style-wise that there was also some references or some styles from previous even Spielberg sci-fi movies like AI or Minority Report.
Definitely, yeah.
Absolutely. So anyway, we find out that Halle Berry's pregnant, and then what happens, and how does she react to that?
Well, like any woman who hasn't had sex in 13 months, that's impossible. Like, no.
Well,
I didn't do that.
Hold on. Are we sure that she hasn't had sex?
I don't believe, to her knowledge, that she has had sex. And I know what you're talking about, and we'll touch on that. But I have a theory on that. I don't think she.
Because in the first 10 minutes, we do see this sensual shower scene with them holding hands, and maybe because this is a futuristic world with, John.
Are you cone heading right now? Are you saying that they have sex through through touching palms?
Well, we'll get to this, but they already we are to believe that they have sex by touching zippers, so
they don't have sex by touching zippers, you guys.
I'm just saying. So anyway, Molly is trying to adjust to her life, as things, she goes to the ISEA. We learn that she has to, that there was these 13 hours that were missing from her video blogs or her,
I love
her
that. That's such a classic thing to do in any kind of sci-fi. We don't have documentation for these past 24 hours, 13 hours. What were you doing? What happened?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we get hints of what happened in these 13 hours. Tari, what did happen or what was hinted? What do we see in these missing 13 hours?
Well, she's talking to her family, and then all of a sudden a solar flare hits, and she has to go check it out. Things start going a little blinky, and then once she gets up, reboots the power, right in a window, she sees her old lover, Marcus.
Oh, Mark. I was just going.
Guys.
No,
This is not a 1940s serial
You're right.
radio show.
you're right. Exactly. So,
Bum, bum.
and he writes, "Help me,"
Yes.
on on the window on the window. So we don't now we are hinted that I guess Marcus is some kind of former lover or former significant other of Molly's, because John, not jealous, but makes reference, oh, we would have never been together if it wasn't for
If he hadn't have
him
died.
dying.
if he hadn't have died. Exactly. So Molly does evidently holds a soft spot for him. Now then through this flashback, this flashback gets extended a little bit, because during her psychiatric debriefing, she goes back and we see a little bit more of this encounter with Marcus and Molly.
Can we talk about this encounter and how it breaks you should know better. Like, I'm sorry. If you, well, I know in fiction land that apparently nobody has access to a TV, nobody can watch any sci-fi, nobody can watch any Doctor Who or anything. If your dead, long lost love appears to you on a spaceship and you open the door and let him touch you, that is a no. If he starts repeating everything you say back to you, that is a no. You do not proceed to get
Mm-hmm.
all teary-eyed and lovey-dovey. That you just don't do that. Like,
Though
learn.
I would argue that by contact rules, it could have been an alien taking the form of someone she knows.
That's what I think it was, which is even more reason to not touch him. Don't let him touch you. These are rules.
That alien brought higher learning, though.
Contact?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think I fell asleep at the end of it.
a lot of people did.
You see, I think it was all in Marcus's eyes. I don't know. Did either of you notice he had a blue eye and then a brown eye?
He had a blue eye and a brown eye?
I thought, yeah, or was that just a reflection?
I think he had just a very still eye for a human, which made me believe he was not human because we blink and our eyes move back and forth and his eyes weren't moving.
You're right. There was no questioning. Molly, she didn't question how, what, where, why.
Yeah.
She just was immediately enraptured in his brilliance. He just said, "Help me," honestly, like some kind of like Skinamax or something, like, "Oh," and then "Come to me and let's hold each other." I mean, really,
Yeah.
that really was the scene. They
Yeah.
held each other. He touches her zipper. First the cheek and goes down her spacesuit.
Well, I think it was more like an alien body scan because he did that thing where he like got to where her uterus was and he stopped and he looked at her. I was like, oh God, he just totally scanned her to see if she was available to have
Analyzing.
children.
Analyzing.
Analyzing.
Was analyzing, or was it implementing some, special
I don't think there's some type of
powers?
finger impregnation going on there.
I don't-
I was waiting for him to just like jab it through.
Oh my gosh. This is CBS. Let's be okay. This is not
Absolutely.
Showtime
You're right.
or
The
HBO.
shower scene stops at when they're holding hands.
Right.
And when
That's-
they have a little kiss and that's it.
Oh.
yeah, that's when
Yeah.
it stops. That's network. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So anyway, yeah, she doesn't question this. She just goes towards this. She wakes up, from a blackout, and we see her delete all of this footage before she watches the surveillance cameras, because obviously there's tons of surveillance cameras on this ship, and she deletes them. But before that, we don't see Marcus. We just see her miming,
Yeah.
at least
Talking to herself.
talking to herself. So, guys, is Marcus real? Did this happen?
Who knows?
I think it's an alien. I'm just saying. But I will say, because we were talking about if she had sex with Marcus and the possibility that maybe it's Marcus hybrid alien baby inside of her, and how she's in denial about having sex with him. I think he did some, what is it called? The Star Trek mind.
Oh yeah, the
thing.
mind meld.
The mind meld, because I don't think she remembers anything between him touching her face and then her eyes rolling up into her head and then waking up with the alarms going off. I really don't think she remembers that, because why would she play the tape back? And why didn't she play the tape further?
Yeah. She didn't.
Like, what?
Of how far it went, because
Like,
if
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we are to assume that she did get pregnant from this experience, I'm sure it did not stop with her putting her hand out, touching his cheek.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just saying. I'm sure there's some other mimings going on
Well,
in that video.
If even that, I just if going with the assumption that she doesn't know what happened, and she just got so freaked out by the fact that she looks crazy, I would still want to know. You know, hey, what happened? If I am crazy, then what else happened? I just woke up
And did
fully
we-
clothed.
And she was wearing a video camera on her, you know,
Yeah.
on her.
So maybe we'll
lapel.
see that.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. But back at ISEA, they really want to know, and you know, and who knows, because they probably might find out. I mean, just because we see this while she's with a psychiatrist, but she's being watched, so it's not really confidential.
Yeah.
You know, her life is on surveillance.
And she's pregnant. I mean, you can't hide that for very long. Like,
You're right.
so
You're right. And there's, first of all, you're right. There's whose baby is it? How did this happen? And is it human or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really, so while all of this Molly stuff is going on, there's a lot of Molly stuff. Oh, and also in her personal life, Molly's personal life, things are a little shaky at home, you know, because she's not really close to her son, is she,
Well,
guys?
I think they kind of commented on that, and that she's been gone for 13 months.
Right.
And she kind of comments on how he's different, and her husband's like, well, it's been a year. But there's also something going on with her son that I think we're going to touch on soon. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And why.
let's go on that.
Yeah.
Since we brought it up, what is different about their son?
he's an android.
What?
Awesomeness.
What? Yeah. How did you feel the part? I mean, the reveal. What did you think of the reveal when?
I think my response was, oh, snap, or something like that is what I said out loud. So
Were you expecting that, Tari? Were you?
Unfortunately, the commercial spoiled me. But the first time I'd seen the commercial, I was surprised. Like, I thought that was a really good kind of turn, because up until then, he's just like this normal little kid. He's a little quiet, a little weird. And then you're like, oh no, he's a robot.
And then I also was thinking, why does he look everything like Goran Vishnik and nothing like Halle Berry? I get like, whenever I would
right.
see promos,
Yeah.
I'd be like, really? So when
But-
he came out as an android, I was like, oh, okay. I
But
get this
John, yeah, Goran. But John, he is the Geppetto. I mean, Halle Berry was not.
now. Yeah, I mean, she was there before. So,
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True, you're right.
Why does he look?
Ethan does not look like Halle Berry whatsoever.
And she's fine.
Oh, she is fine.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
saying. I'm
It's too much
saying.
fine for
I
one
know.
robot to handle, guys.
Absolutely. So anyway, he is, yeah. So Goran or John Woods, he is some kind of Geppetto. He is this scientist, and he created Ethan, their son, and he wants to make more Ethans.
Yeah. Humanix? I think?
Humanix,
Is-
absolutely, absolutely. And in a way, this all ties together because he wants to ask for funding from Yamamoto. It's our ISEA. 'Cause-
Yasumoto.
Yeah, Yasumoto. Excuse me. Thank you very much. Who also funds and helps out ISEA.
Yeah.
But you know, and also they funded Molly's trip as well.
Seraphim, yeah.
Absolutely. So anyway, this is all kind of coming together. You know, ideas are percolating of how this is all blended. But anyway, he wants funding, and does he get his funding for more of his Humanix?
Not initially, because they raise a question that I think is always, well, it's not raised in Terminator, but it should have been, but is raised in most other sci-fi of, so what happens if they're crazy and they want to kill the human race? And he responds in that, you know, why would he kill his son? And the whole idea is to raise them like humans and treat them like humans. And so, and he also says something offensive to one of the potential clients
Yeah.
about
calls
souls.
one of the witch scientists, you know, the evildoers in the audience, an idiot. There you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was a bad response when you're in a professional landscape.
True.
But unfortunately, you know, that and not having any kind of game plan for if they do decide to go Terminator, T-1000 on us.
Hence, Anita, hence the theme music.
Yes.
I just want to that we finally get it. Yes, John Woods is creating robots that could or could not, he says no, take over the world. Yeah. So anyway, what were you going to say, Tari?
I was just gonna say, like, it shows how much faith he has in, like, essentially what he's working on. Like, he truly believes that these androids can become just like humans and have the same level of morality. However, as all sci-fi has told us, I mean, there's nothing, because just like humans, there's nothing to stop them from also doing bad things.
Yeah.
And then they had touched on it a little bit in the whole idea of, like, the androids being slaves to humans as opposed to, like, being treated like people.
Well, it seems like it's kind of implied that that's already the case, that they do have some type of android system in place already, that they use androids as a kind of servant, or as, like, I guess to replace, like, general jobs that people don't want to do in the future.
Right. They're like the med bots in Star Wars or something
or like
that.
the Ood in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So we mentioned references of Aliens. We've mentioned references of Terminator. We mentioned references of Star Trek, Doctor Who. I'm going to jump a little bit. Well, actually, I'll save this reference for later. But right now, John is really fighting for his son, meaning that our son's a good guy. That he represents these future humanics in general. They're all good people because he wants them to be people. Now, but is Ethan really good? We see this day at the park where Molly and Ethan are just sharing some ice creams. Now, Tari, what happens? And now from this scene, you can tell us, are we on Ethan's side? Is he just a regular good guy?
Well, they leave it a little ambiguous, but I mean, he essentially has a tantrum and runs out into the woods, and you see him standing over this dead bird, and the first thing he says is, "I just found it like this." And
Well, I mean, he's a kid, and like that whole temper tantrum thing. And can I say, Pierce Gagnon, the kid, is so great at doing tantrums, because he was the kid in Looper, and he had the best tantrums ever. But anyways,
maybe that's why he was cast.
Probably.
Yeah.
But my response was like, well, he's a kid, and they have sometimes odd responses. That doesn't always mean that it's the best response, but especially when you're, like, learning how to control your emotions. And maybe he's a little too old to have a tantrum like he had it. But then again, he might only be like 2 years old, android wise. It seemed like the initial response of, like, getting angry about his ice cream dropping didn't seem too overblown. The running away, I was like, okay, well, that's a little odd. And then the dead bird, I was like, well, maybe he didn't do it. He could have.
Yeah.
You're right. And I really think he did it. He killed. He first of all,
he didn't kill it.
Molly and John it's John now, because Molly's been gone for 13 months. They're raising a killer robot. I mean, they're raising I'm just saying, they're raising a T-1000. I'm just saying that's it. Hence, once again, the Terminator theme music.
I will say, I do like that aspect of the story, that there is this kind of, will he or won't he become this evil android, or can a android learn to be human and deal with the yin and yang of being human, the good and the evil of that. Right. So I like that they're kind of toying with that with the kid and seeing where that goes with it.
Right, and there was I feel like the whole theme of this episode, at least, they really touched on, especially going back a little bit, when John was arguing with the fellow scientists about souls. John's argument that a soul is not real, that there is no part of the body, called the soul. Yeah, you have a heart, you have a gut, you have a stomach, you have a mind, you don't have a soul, so that was his argument. But, like, the other argument is, no, that a soul, it's vague, but it's a sense of feeling. It's a sense of something. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and I feel I feel also that is going to be, especially in John's storyline, at least throughout this series or season series, hopefully, that the search of a soul. I mean that's going to be, I feel, his plot point.
Yeah.
I mean, they toy with that a lot, just the kind of I think what a lot of the characters are struggling with is letting their emotions get the best of them, like how Molly let her emotions get the best of her on the spaceship, and how John is kind of letting his emotions get the best of him in terms of his son. I mean, he is an android. He is a machine. If a machine punches you in the face, it's going to hurt and probably kill you, versus a human punching you in the face. I'm just saying. I mean, unless he punch you multiple times. But you have to kind of have a precaution when you're dealing with something that is new, that is self-learning, and can spiral out of control. That's the kind of what people deal with and struggle with in today's society with artificial intelligence. If we let computers get to the point where they can teach themselves and surpass us in information and knowledge, will they eventually decide that we are, a virus or whatever Matrix type reference you want to make, and decide to wipe us out? Or so I like that they're kind of toying with that idea. I think that I lost my train of thought, so I don't know what I was going to say.
That's okay.
So.
I'll bring it.
Yeah.
I'll bring it back. But anyway, and really quick, going back to so this whole, though, is Ethan, a killer? Is he just a gentle, this gentle person? How this all came to be, though, was Molly receives this out of nowhere balloon letter, this out of nowhere, just way from left field. It just did not blend for me. It just came, and it's like, what did it say exactly? It says, like, I know
what happened to you.
I know what happened to you.
Be in touch soon. Something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of just and I like Steven Spielberg, but I feel like sometimes he just has kind of those random Spielberg moments where you're like, you're just kind of throwing plot point in there because you just need this to happen. You can't just let it happen organically. And so
True.
I wasn't that surprised when that happened.
So, but John now, he did not receive his funding.
No.
So he's kind of miffed about that, and then he does not really take Molly's side when he hears about this chaotic moment between Molly and Ethan. He doesn't really take her side, but then there is an upstart. There is there is sunshine, after that cloud of rain in John's world, that he does receive funding now. Private funding. Now, Tari, how did this even come about?
Well, Yasumoto had a private meeting with him as a ploy, which we'll talk about later, in order to kind of get the gist of what he's doing. And he said his board members will never be on board, but he's willing to come out of pocket for it.
Yeah. Now, this Yasumoto, he is the Mr. Moneybucks, because he's funding Molly's trip, he's funding this ISEA, he's funding these Humanics. I mean, I think I would like to believe he pretty much owns it all.
Yeah.
Basically.
He owns it all. We are introduced to this mysterious Yasumoto from being frozen.
Is he frozen? He was like in somewhere kind of jelly. I don't know if he was...
jelly.
I kind of got this... Yeah, it was like a jelly, because then it was like gooey all on him when he woke up.
You're right. It was gooey. And my reference is going to be from Demolition Man. That was a big Demolition Man moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, obviously he was not eating, or there was no tubes feeding him any kind of syrups or food, because the first thing he does when he gets out of there is he has some delicious Michelin grade, sushi grade, like Jiro dreams of sushi. I mean, it looked delicious. I loved it. I wanted to eat that. I'm just saying, it was whoever did the plating for, with the props and the chefs and all that. Fantastic. Props to you. No pun intended.
Did anyone else get the kind of impression that maybe he's ancient? For some reason, there was a picture of him dressed like a samurai in his mansion, and I was like, well, and is he just like an ancient human or something like that, and that they're replenishing him? What's up with the gel? That's kind of what I was thinking, that maybe he's...
You're right.
I don't know. It was kind of weird.
and yeah, we also saw the skull of the T-Rex. You know, we also, and why now? You know, there was no reasoning. You know, from him being released from this jail, from him being awakened, it was to find out what happened to these 13 hours or in Molly's missing life. So suddenly we're going to have this dead billionaire come back to life.
But I guess he's not dead because no one was surprised when he met with John. No one's surprised to see him walking around and interacting with people. So I am curious about the gel. What's the gel all about?
Yeah.
What he's doing.
Kind of piggybacking off of your thing is like maybe the gel is essentially something to keep him youthful.
Yeah.
So like every time he goes down for like this exfoliating bath, it kind of keeps him spry enough, and maybe it's over amount of time. That's why he has to eat every time he's done, because it's like a year process or a 2-year something, extended amount of time.
It's just, I'm curious about what that whole deal is with him.
There are many curiosities.
Yes.
He is interesting though. I think, yeah, for me, if I was going to follow a character right now, I feel he is the most interesting, the most colorful, just being awakened, Jesus-like in a way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
really, I mean, out of nowhere, he has all this money. You know, he could just say, oh yeah, I'm not going to fund you with my company, but me as a person, I will fund you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and you're right, and he wants to keep a watchful eye on this Molly. He wants to keep a watchful eye. I mean, he's like this omniscient being.
Yeah.
You know, because sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say he only funds John so he can keep an eye on Molly, and he's kind of given that idea by Sparks, but we'll get to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Well, let's get to it now.
Okay.
So bring it up. Tell me about.
Well, Director Sparks is Molly's boss, and I guess he runs the Seraphin and the ISEA. So Seraphin is the ship that she was on, and he doesn't act suspicious to Molly or suspicious of Molly to her face, but once she gives her account and says that she accidentally deleted the videos and she doesn't remember what happened, or nothing happened, she fell asleep for 3 hours, no big deal. He immediately wakes up Yasumoto, and they immediately start talking about how this is like the same issue that happened with Harmon Krieger. And so now you know that something else bigger is going on, that this isn't the first time that somebody's had essentially a blackout, and something's going on with solar flares, and everyone's interconnected, and there's a big conspiracy.
Oh man, like I said, it's about the lasagna, layer
Yes, it's
after
just
layer.
Like, oh gosh, so much. So there's this whole dynamic of what is going on with the Yasumoto Corporation, and how does that connect with ISEA, and what's really going on. And Harmon Krieger, why did he commit suicide?
You're right. Now, and with Harmon and the ISEA, that I feel once Yasumoto is awakened from this jelly, just the conspiracies keep on going and going, especially with this ISEA, because by the end of the episode, we learn who, or I know I am assuming here, but we kind of learn who that mysterious person was from the park who gave Molly the balloon. And it was, who was it? Sorry?
It was Harmon Krieger.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dead Harmon Krieger.
Dead.
He's not really dead.
He's not really dead, and he warns Molly, like a big warning. Uh-oh, don't trust anybody.
Such
Everyone's
weird.
out to get you. Done.
I always hate in like any either like thrillers and sci-fi where they're like, don't trust anyone, but they
Yeah.
won't give you any names.
Yeah.
Like he should have just thrown a list and been like, here's what's going on. Enjoy, read this book. It'll tell you everything you need to know.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Now, I felt though it was interesting. I mean, there was a lot of. I felt it was almost this whole show in general was an homage to some great sci-fi films. Yes, there was some originality, and it was very nice. But and as a sci-fi geek, as a comic geek, if you will, I like pointing that out. You know, I like finding, oh, they did a little bit of this, but they did it differently. Oh, and this is how they did it. I never thought of that. I mean, like Spielberg made Artificial Intelligence, which also had a robotic kid, and they're doing that here, but in a different sense. You know, they're combining. I also liked, you know, I was a big Gravity fan because I like beautiful exotic female astronauts, and I'm on this big. I'm just saying. We have Gravity, Sandra Bullock. We have Extant, Halle Berry. I'm liking this kick that Holly was on of casting these. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Anyway, so there are all these conspiracies. I mean, let's just. I feel let's go to predictions because I want to. I mean, you know this. Yeah.
You're ready for predictions?
I'm ready for predictions.
Well,
Adrian.
they give us that, you know, this happening on season 1 of Extant, and there's a lot of stuff that happens. What struck me was that there was this reference to extant also meaning extinct, and then Ethan makes a reference to humans going up into space so that they don't have to face extinction. And I really want to see how all of that is connected. This whole idea that there is a threat, not only in terms of the humanics, but a threat from space of humanity becoming extinct. And so I kind of think that, and then they also said something about how they're already here. So there's just like, there's just so much to predict and so much going on. But I essentially think that whatever is inside Halle Berry is, I guess, the thing that will, you know, can keep together or break the human race. That's my prediction.
It's like the savior.
Yeah.
Right.
Tari. And this is not. I know. Really quick. Yeah. There were predictions. Excuse me. There was like this season. But what's just going to happen even on the next episode?
Yeah.
The next episode.
Oh, I should just do that.
That's okay. You can go again if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. On the next episode,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna find out about Harmon Krieger. Like, that's
Awesome.
pretty much
There
what I
you
want
go.
to know.
Awesome.
No. I'm actually really looking forward to spending more time with the kid and kind of seeing his development. There was a thing where I keep wondering if they keep building bodies for him as he grows up. But that's a side thing.
Or if they'll grow, if it's like organic.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like if I would, I'm getting into so many things in my head right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing.
This
It's
is
just so much.
Yeah.
this is a layered show. It is the lasagna show.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I feel we're still not finished with Molly. Before we can even, you know, they pushed Ethan and John as the B story. I feel that's still going to be the B story, even leaning towards C. It's still all going to be about Molly, and it's going to be how she gets out of this psychiatric evaluation because she's still in it. And all of these people, including Yasumoto, are watching her.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, did she like faint when she had that blackout? Like, what happened? Did she tell this I mean, I'm still guessing. So I want to see her get out of this doctor's office. I want to see her, you know, pass this medical exam with flying colors.
Right.
Yeah, that's a real huge obstacle. So I feel next week is going to answer all of those questions.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, a big juggle of pacing with this episode because they're putting in a lot. And so even when I was watching, I was like, this pacing is like interesting because there's a lot for me to take in this one episode, and maybe it's a little too much for my brain.
Absolutely. Now, but really quick, just, you know, for first episode, what do you think? I mean, this is a winner of a show. I say this is an awesome show. You know, the quality, the visual effects, it is a really good. I mean, do you want to tune in next week?
I do want to tune in next week. I do think that some of the dialogue could be, you know,
absolutely,
could be a little bit nicer, cleaner.
You don't like that 1960s serialized,
kind of
tongue-in-cheek?
It reminded me a lot of The Fugitive and how they talked. It's just this kind of like, why are you over-explaining this to me in this moment? and so I feel like they're kind of, you know, feeding us information they don't need to.
Right.
Well, guys, anyway, first of all, where can all of the fans out there of Extant and every other show, Tari, where can all of the fans find you?
You can find me on Twitter at TariJ. That's TaurijAY. You can also catch me on the Dominion panel on Thursdays and the Sword Art Online on Sundays. I know my days.
Awesome. Adrian, where can all the fans find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow, Adrian.
Excellent, guys. You can find me on iTunes. My podcast is called Restaurant Fiction, also on Twitter at Rest Fiction, and I am the editor-in-chief of the website restaurantfiction.com, and this week we are reviewing Monk's Diner, prominently featured in the show Seinfeld. So anyway, guys...
Sorry, should we mention next week we do have a guest on?
Oh, absolutely.
Sergio.
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, you
can do it. Well, Sergio Harford, who plays Marcus, will be on with us.
So Marcus is a real human being. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Keep it real, keep it fresh, and always keep it on the flip side.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.